Holy shit. I've never seen you guys join so early. I wasn't even set up yet, and you're already in here. Eager. Can you even hear me? Let's see. Yeah, eager. Eager, are we? God damn. You hear me all good? No weirdness on the mic, hopefully. I did a talk this morning for a school and it seemed fine with the mics, but let me know. You came to me to see a nap. Damn. I know the first donation goal, ban Slate. Get set up here, shall we? All right, we're doing blueprints. I made some updates last night to the blueprint, so just gonna double check some stuff. How's everyone's Thursday going? Yeah. Yeah, not too bad. Quite accomplished. You did some work for once, Leah? No way. There's no way. Ain't no way. Ain't no way, Chief. The heck? Same Slate. Pretty sus. Yeah, Roblox addict. I know, right? So last night we updated the blueprint system because it wasn't as optimized as it could be. So what ended up doing was basically setting up the parent again. So in here we were using we were just dragging in a static mesh, which is fine, right? But it means that that static mesh is gonna sort of be the same rendered over and over. So it's best practice to actually use an instant static mesh, and then actually have the master just be. Well, you're not meant to say master anymore. You're meant to say main. The main material or the parent material be kind of empty with the two lights. And then if you look at the reference viewer for it, that will reference into like any blueprint that is like a child of that. So if we go into this one, for example, this now references like specific mesh and bulb. And then if we go to that sort of blueprint, and we actually open it, we basically have this instance section which arrays in the mesh. So if you have like thousands of these over the level, right? It's not like 1,000 different draw calls. So the parent never goes into the level, right? Parent hides away over here, out of no one, out of sight from everything. And then what I can do is actually have a separate mesh. Once the logic is set up, you just basically kind of copy and paste it or create a child from that. So let's just test that out before we start making proper renders of it. Hanging light 02. And then it's empty, but then what you do is you take your instant static mesh and you add your meshes into it. So I think I have some hanging lamps from Leotis. This one. And then you won't see it because it's not appending a reference to an instance. So you just look for instance in here and put the array in, and then it will appear. Obviously, it's got the wrong material, right? But basically, you just have you. I need to get a few more meshes, but once you set it up, you can just have 10, 10 light props that are blueprint that all come from the same parent, right? All come from that. So when you have thousands of them in the level, it's super easy to control or make global changes if need be. So those were the updates we made yesterday, basically. Some nice optimal behind the scenes optimization. We're making more technical lighting stuff. Welcome to the stream. Yeah. Hey, TikT. Thanks for boosting us, by the way. Yeah, purple floof boost rank. Do you still bake light in modern games? Not here. It depends on the game and the scale of it. I'd say most modern games are using real time. There's still a fair few that use baked. Hey Eric, how do? Yeah, so that's a quick example, right? So two separate lights using the same parent. I want to find. I think I've got a few more ceiling lights. It doesn't have to be a ceiling light. It can be anything that has a point light and a spotlight. So if I go back to the parent again, a reference viewer, boom, there we go. So you can imagine having hundreds of lights connected to this. Although I would probably try to split it up a little bit to not have a single point of failure, right? So maybe like a ceiling parent, a ground parent, just in case. But I think yeah, we'll go to about four lights, and that will get the point across for the portfolio piece. But yeah, we're going to post technical lighting 2 probably on the weekend, and then I've got a relight that's pretty much done that we'll post next week as well. So that's 3 portfolio pieces pretty much in 2 weeks, nicely done. And then from there, we'll see. Got some general ideas, but nothing concrete yet for sure. I think I'm going to use a grey material, which means I don't want to have any more. There we go. That was it. No. Right, let's go to latest. Let's see if they got any more. At least one more, I think. I can probably do some ground props, but I think free something that isn't a rounded light. Pretty good. Mm-mm. Yeah, how you guys getting on anyway? Anything eventful in the regular rejoiners? What's going on? Working day in, day out. That's the way. We couldn't use our blueprint on this. We would have to make a duplicate because this is technically 3 point lights and 3 spotlights almost. Use on that. We've already doing that one. We've already got that one. Yeah, I'd like it to be ceiling just for the presentation, really. Ooh. What credits is that? Because they gave me a bunch of credits for free a while ago. This is a Cosmos by Latest, like a marketplace, your typical marketplace asset thing. I think that would go nicely. See if what else we got, because we could put that one over to the left. And what we can do is we can select all of them and make a video of them like all changing at once. Show all the settings. shortlist that one just in case. All right, let's do a bit more. What do I want to do? I want to grab the parents, and I want to make sure collision is disabled on the bulb. Because in this scenario, we're not going to be shooting it, right? That's another project, so we can see if we can find that. Could also disable shadows from the bulb, which will let you put the light inside the bulb, which is quite important for PBL as well. So all these things I'm keeping note of for like when we do the portfolio post. So all this, we should just do a best practice. This is a bulb. We're not going to be able to shoot it in the context of this, so we should make sure we turn off anything we don't need, right? We should also turn off shadow casting because bulbs don't cast shadow, and it will block your light as well. So again, all this stuff is just like micro optimizations, right? But it adds up when you have like a game that has lots and lots of light props in, and every little thing has collision, and every bulb is casting shadow when it doesn't need to. It's really good best practice to set that up. Like I say, you set it up in this parent, and it will affect thousands of lights at once, right? So really good optimization. See if that's broke anything though. Let's have a look. Don't forget, if you're on the Patreon before 9 o'clock, posting the thread. After 9 o'clock, it will be locked. Ooh, no, 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 no. Why no work? Hey, there we go. Just grabbing this lamp so we can throw it in. What the hell? There we go. Maybe this one. There we go. Hey Victor, how you doing this week? Good to see you again. Need to update all this. Oh, maybe not. I guess not. Oh, I turned on the wrong. That's why it's being weird. Turned on the wrong one. Was it this one? I see it. Let's turn that off. Yeah. This one? Yeah, this one. Yeah, my friend showed me this little button, enable screen rotate. It's actually really nice. It gives you this sort of screen space, like yellow arc to rotate around um, in screen space. It's quite nice. Oh, really, Eric? Yeah, I didn't know about it. It's quite nice. I like it. That's the thing with Unreal. Just there's still so much to learn after all these years, which is great. Nope, on me. Right, let's set this one up then, I guess. Okay, forgot about this. Please don't be merged. Please don't be merged. Ah, general tip: if anyone, a lot of environment artists, if you ever make a light prop, don't merge it into the don't merge the bulb into the lampshade. Makes life difficult for us lighting artists to do stuff with it. Hey, chat, welcome back. How's your week been? I am doing, I guess, I did the technical lighting one post. That was the lighting toolkit. Technical lighting two is the light prop blueprint. So I'm basically just prepping stuff and setting up the screenshots I want to take and doing some optimization on the actual blueprint, and vice versa. I think there's still one or two features I want to add into the blueprint. So that will be, yeah, this will be for tech lighting too. And then after that, I'll be going back to relights for a bit. Hey man, how's your week been? Good to see you again. Hey, much appreciated. Thank you, thank you. You got anything coming up on the portfolio front, personal work front, or are you just super locked in with lighting vampires and all that stuff? So if we look at the reference viewer, we should have the casing and the bulb with the mid gray and the light prop. Now, this last light has the bulb merged, so I need to go into the modeling toolkit and painfully separate it out. But yeah, don't want to have the bulb connected to the actual mesh, right? Just gets rid of lots of flexibility you can do with the bulbs. So as you can see, there's no bulb there. But now as we said before, we're building up our sort of, it makes sense. Always look in the reference viewer. It's really good for materials and blueprints and seeing if things are connecting the way they should be connecting, right? What music do we want? What do I want? Because it's muted for you guys. What music do I want? A bit of JT. Why do I have a blueprint called Frodo? This is I don't even remember making this. This was from like back in the day on stream when we first looked at Blueprint all that time ago and had no idea. What is this? What were we trying to do? See, I think I know how to do this now, so that will be the next thing. But yeah, I remember we were trying to make a level swapper for the lighting gym, and we had it work in Event Graph, but the same nodes weren't available in. So I actually know how to do that now. So that's going to be the next, not right away, but that'll be the next thing in the future. And this was our very first blueprint, which is again no using SM instead of ISM, and we can actually delete that. I think. Is there anything we want to steal from it? Do we want to steal anything from here? There's a light flicker, but what's going on with this graph? Jeez, what's this? Get lost in the art of the graph. What are we doing here? Enable flicker, light function. Oh, I see. Yeah, definitely. See if there's an easy way we can do this. Oh. Disconnect. Disconnect the selected triangles. Separate. Up to disconnect. Do we disconnect it? We should probably not do it on the blueprint, to be fair. Wait, what? I don't really use the modeling toolkit that much, very rarely. But I didn't know there's a 60,000 edge limit. Please let me disconnect. Oh. Don't make me load up Blender. Never a good thing on stream. Separate? Oh. I think it will separate. I think we got it. Let's go. Oh. We're going to set a button up for that anyway to make it easier. That would be quite nice, actually. Hit a button and it just pops up to the top. I have a question for the lighting artist in the chat. Would you represent an emissive bulb as CDM2, lumens, or nits? Now, I read something the other day that CDM2 is not actually the one we think it is. I read it somewhere on LinkedIn from somebody that was very experienced. I should probably look into that. I'm thinking nits, but we're just polishing up right now, right? So we'll do all our units properly. Using lumens for the light, but for the actual bulb, maybe we can use nits or something else. Oh god, look at oh my god, look at the time. Holy crap. Okay. Oof. I did not realize. Right. Patreon feedback. Let's jump in on. Jumping on. Jumping on. Cool. Yeah, we should be able to post this in a few days. I want to add line trace to Snap. I want to set the right units, and then it's ready to post. Changing music, then we'll hop on. Right, take a tea. After last feedback, I redid one of the focal points to just focus on one of the buildings, whilst replacing and making it more unique. Any thoughts on improving this focal point? I reduced the sky while having the building in the background helped imply the congestion of the neighborhood. So your feedback last week was, I think, to descope and to focus on one thing, bring that up as a vertical slice almost, and then extend the project if you're happy after that. But if not, then you've got a really good base. Right. Oh, so let's have a look. Also, I hate the mirror app. The only good thing about it is it saves tabs. The rest is shite. Oh, there's all our feedback from last week. Well, my drawings of madness. Right. So, I think it's good that you scope down to focus on this one building so you can push all your it's scope wise, you can push in all your detailing, which is quite good. Now, I'd be interested to know what sort of reference or portfolio pieces you've looked at to base sort of this type of angle at to see if how close you are. But some things that stand out to me is I would probably get a little bit more sky in. So I would almost actually we can show this. Just turn this on. I'm just going to put yours up on the second screen. I would be tempted to, because right now you're kind of like kind of like that, right? I'd be tempted to maybe try like this. So you get more of this side plane in here, and then you kind of have this sort of almost diagonal angle going on because everything's quite straight on. So I would kind of be tempted to do that and lift the camera up a bit more. So you're getting, because you're focusing a lot on the road at the moment. So I would tilt up a little bit. You're quite far away as well. Tilt up there, and I know your building's a bit longer. Yeah, so I'd maybe try and just frame it a bit like that, starting off. And then what I do is make sure that this can be a good framing element. What I do is when you get your new camera angle, just push this to the edge. So what it does is, it starts off the camera, then it enters the camera, and then it's darker. And that's kind of like a framing element, right? So having this little gap here, I'm not a huge fan of that. I like to frame in on images. And you'll see I do that a lot in my portfolio, right? Just frame, I kind of go up to the frame and let it frame in. So I think if you tilt it, your focal point will be a bit more obvious that it's this, right? And then you'll get more of this plane here, which is very thin. You'll get that a lot more. It'll kind of come out a bit more when you're doing the building like that. That makes sense. Well, if you're watching, at least, if you're watching the VOD, hopefully it makes sense. And then just be careful on, don't be afraid to have the sky rest. You don't need all those buildings um, to kind of block the sky, right? Just focus on building one bit first. Big improvement though. This scope is going to help you a lot. I'd be tempted, like once you rotate the camera, grab these barrels, and maybe you can have, some framing elements on the edge here. So then you frame from corner one, and you frame from here with corner two, and vice versa. Cool. I know it's still in early days, right? Because then eventually, like, yeah, just sort of door handle and hinges and breaking stuff up, and this curb wouldn't be like this if they're right near their house. Most likely, I mean, reference could prove me wrong on that, but you'd probably want like a dip so that people can, world building, right, go in and out pretty easily um, when they want to go into their house. But that's going to come with the detailing. But yeah, much better camera angle. Just a little bit more polish on it, and you'll be there. Did you ask anything else? Oh, okay, cool. Well, V posted all this work, but he just came to make a statement. He was like, "Yeah, here's my work," and he didn't even ask for feedback. He just said in all this, "I plan on doing this. Me and Leah did this. Here it is. What feedback do you want?" Just bro just came into flex. Came into flex. Didn't even want feedback. So I believe V and Leah are working on a collab project about a destructible barrier. That's one strong barrier. Not huge. Like I said, this thing is still weird to me, right? I don't know what your plans are for it, but the fact it just shrinks is like, that's weird. The only other thing I add is you again, you're probably going to be doing this already, but when you shoot it, like with the middle one, for example, right? When you shoot this, I expect to see like bullet holes or some sort of low detail damage that isn't breaking away instantly, right? So that'll be the next thing to focus on as well. I did like this test where you do the Indiana Jones ball down into the barrier. I think this was a pretty cool way to present stuff when he plays it. There we go. That's pretty nice. Well, I can feel the frame rate going down, so the performance side of it will be interesting to profile and see what's going on with that. So yeah, it's quite a nice technical one because you got to figure out the performance and the right level of detail to where the destruction feels natural. Yeah, this one was nice. Feels more logical. Are you doing anything with this in terms of like you have a concrete wall and then inside you have rebar, and then you see the rebar, or what's the level of depth you're taking stuff like this, right? Victor, you put it in the wrong section. In the thread. In the thread. There's nothing really I like. You haven't specifically asked what you want feedback on, but I think the stuff I have feedback is the stuff you're working on anyway. So the local damage, the layering of rebar and mesh complexity, the optimization, like maybe you profile it and get it, see what you can do to get it running at a decent frame rate. But yeah, other than that, it's good progress. All I can say. Stebby, not really done much last week. No problem. Take your time. I added the assets you mentioned last stream, but I haven't touched Unreal in a minute. Want some quick feedback if anything else seems off before I continue. As you can see, I tried to get a block out of the lighting as well. Ignore the guy in the back. Feels quite cramped, I'd say. Usually we expand spaces for games, even if it would be accurate being smaller. So it feels very if this was if this is an operating room, it doesn't feel like the people that were operating on whatever would be able to move around, get the tools they need to do the operation, and not bump into things, right? So think about like the world building of terms of like a player moving around this, even though it is just a visual scene. So I think maybe adding a bit more because in these there's lots more room. I think the top left and this one are most equivalent. So yeah, it feels quite tight and condensed. I'd consider that. Drop a third person in, run around with the third person gameplay. You'll find it's going to be very, very cramped and it won't serve gameplay very well. Even though you're not doing gameplay, you've got to think of that to make these spaces more believable. But no, good step getting this into Unreal. That's really good because I knew you were sticking in Blender before. So embrace Unreal. Throw stuff in, fail fast. The key is to fail fast. Keep throwing stuff in, refining. That's why I say the more details you have, the harder it is. So this is a good chance for you to just focus on the bigger picture before you start detailing up any props. You get all that sorted, that's most of the battle. Thankfully. But yeah, too small. Think of the scale, widen it up. It'll help with your lighting as well. That'll be my main points. Just keep looking at this ref and really analyzing it and thinking, why is it the way it is? Why is it this big? Why is there lots of room to walk around the table? And vice versa. But yeah, great second step, man. Keep it up. Everyone's improving each week. It's cool, man. It's cool. Good to see. Eric, I've added Whip to ArtStation. I'm looking for feedback, especially on the roof mesh definition and the material blending, since those are the areas I'm struggling with the most. Please check the images and let me know what you think. So you want primarily feedback on the roof. Oh, I'm not following you. Nice composition. Now this is the composition, for example, where this is still early days, right, for Eric. But this composition in the first image, like that's it, right? You don't need to. Once you lock that in, you don't need to move it. So roof blending. I think the roof blending's improved. Where is that building in the main shot? Or is it not in the main shot yet? Because I'm looking at this, which obviously has some more refined pass. But I guess it's not in the main shot, right? So I'll primarily look at this shot, I guess. This blending is much better. I think there are certain tricks you can do, like you can try and put some SSAO on. You can try and add detail normals to help blend it out. I think the key really is it works really well here, by the way, when it's silhouettes. The key really is to deep dive on the roof. Like when we've had a lot of roofs done on the Discord over the last year, and the best thing people do is they just dive into like Kingdom Come Deliverance or The Witcher 3 or any medieval game, and they just look at the rooftops and really sort of master study what is going on there. Um, so that's what I would do as a next point. I think I can still tell that the alpha tufts are alpha because they're slightly discolored from the main building. So the trick will be trying to get that color to match as much as you can. It's definitely a big improvement at the moment. Like I really love the way it silhouettes at the back. I did one of these roofs like 10, 15 years ago when I did an art test. I was like, how the hell am I meant to do this? Mine was it was okay for the time, but it wasn't anything like the one you're doing, right? But super old school. Yeah, I didn't even have much alpha tufts on mine. This is how old school it was back in the day. Yeah, I think the key would be contrast and matching the texture really of the alpha cards. Um, yeah, it's going to be expensive with nanite, but I won't worry too much. I think the key for you is you have a good implementation, a bit more color matching, and almost like a mini master study on your Miro or ref board. Grab 4 rooftop images from games of thatch roofs, just 4, no more, no less. See what they all do well, and then apply that research to your learning and contrast it against what you currently have. And I mean everything: black and white, blurred, how many alpha cores they're using. That's the main gateway into your improvement on this. I see what you mean. The shadow underneath it. Yeah, you can try disabling it. Yeah, under here. Yeah, give it a try. Disable it and see how it goes. But yeah, that's what I would do personally. I'd viz dev it, viz and look dev that one roof for a while because that's the main character of it. Witcher 3 is quite old now at this point, so maybe Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is probably the most up to date medieval game? Question mark. Yeah, just grabbing stuff like this or whatever the closest equivalent is, and really, if you have the game, even better. This might be a different Thatch. I'm not too masterful on what Thatches are watched, but it looks like they're using just massive. I wonder if that's actual cylinders or if that's Leo. You did a lot of Kingdom Come Deliverance research. Do you know if they approach they're quite old school, aren't they, with their workflow? So I'm guessing this is going to be alpha. Kind of looks like it because you can see it merge up into the main bit. These bigger straws are very, very convincing, though. I'm not gonna lie. The big straw bits. But I think that's the key. That's the key is to look dev it with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. That's what I would do next. And just take one corner. Take one corner of your roof and just quite literally get that up to scratch. Just one corner. Ignore the rest of the roof, and then boom. A lovely looking game. They have little things going on as well. Like even this one, it doesn't really use much alpha, but it has like a almost like a bit of a gradient and some directionality in it as well. which is quite nice. I guess they have these big tufts as well. So it's almost like they're kind of letting either some SSAO by just modeling back in those ridges that really helps it pop. In some places though, you can tell it kind of doesn't really as much. So I would try, yeah, if it was me, I'd be like, okay, I want to try these big ridges and then drop alphas onto it and match the color and turn the shadow cast off and have the AO do some work on it. That'd be my next protocol. But yeah, I would just literally grab just take your roof, isolate it out, hide everything else, and just take this section and just go ham. Next few weeks, or however many time you put on it, just look dev one roof side with different techniques. That's the key to this. So for you, it's more of the approach than the actual what you can do to this whole roof. So that's the structure I would use if I wanted to do this, because I haven't done rooftops in ages, right? But I would do the same thing. I'd look to who's done it really well and refine from there. That makes sense, Eric? Kingdom Come to the it's a mix. Looks like Alpha is a good video from Game Art World. Oh, okay. Yeah, if you could link Eric that video in the Discord, the Game Art World one, that'd be much appreciated. Yes, we can. Which roof? We're talking the non-thatch one, right? So the roof from your main shot, or the roof in your asset zoo, like this, for example. I think this is like, what pass do you consider this? Because if this is like a first mid pass, then it's fine to me. Obviously, for you to push this more, you kind of just have to go into get a pass on everything with a ZBrush, right? Broken planks, normal planks, the snow, softening this snow. But in the context of where this is at, it looks like you're bringing this all up at the same level as like a proxy model. So in that context, it's fine. But if you want to push this, then again, iron out the ref, sculpt some damage variations, soften the snow. Look at pixel depth offset to get rid of these laser lines. Soften your normals on the snow. Put some high specular on it, like little dots of specular. This is all like stuff to take it to the next pass, right? Which you're clearly still doing. So I don't want to hop too much on things you're clearly going to do, right? But yeah, think about silhouette, right? So at the moment you've got the cubes and they've got like a tiling texture on. They might have a normal map. I would introduce some chaos, just like you have here, right? But more so on the edges. Like really go to town on destroying some of the wood. And because you're taking a render that is far out, you have the opportunity to sneak in like a bit more alpha damage, some wood alpha on the edges that no one's going to get close to, but it's going to silhouette really beautifully. I like your little silhouette here. This is really nice and subtle, how it pops in and out. Very nice. Yeah, the layering on this one's really nice. Yeah, for me, it's the snow and the planks on top. The underlying planks look really nice, like really nice material balance here and depth balance. But I think these planks probably a bit more love in terms of sculpting. I'd maybe go sculpt up a set of 4 very unique planks to reuse, so that they aren't all perfectly square. Maybe introduce some more, like you've got here, some natural occlusion at the bottom. Maybe introduce some of that into here as well. Yeah, you've got a lot of silhouette potential here. I would maybe try and so you've got this trend here. Maybe try and have the snow come up a little bit more, almost like a leading line instead of being flat. When you soften all this, it's going to be great. So what you should do is soften all this and then have an extra pile of snow here to be like, okay, it's fallen from here, and the storytelling is it's gone down here, and now it's got an extra pile on here, and then some of it's fallen down here. So you're adding in sort of world building context to, um, you know, where the snow is falling and whatnot. So if you think of that sort of directionality from the y-axis, that's going to help you decide on where you put these mounds of snow and where they start to fall off in specific areas. Yeah, trend this snow mound a bit up, because then you're going up like this when you look at it from the right. It's quite nice. Yeah, this is going to develop really like you've got so much shape and variation in here in its early phase of materials. It's just a case of going to town, getting some ZBrush stuff in. Seeing like this really needs ZBrush love and snow material love, and that's going to be what makes it pop. But cool. I'm excited to see this develop. Nice. I like the shapes you've got. Nice silhouettes. Like I say, if you just accentuate it more on the right, building's going to flow nicely. Yeah. I'd say more organic, which you're going to be doing. It's all very hard surfacey, but even for the hard surface stuff, you can sculpt up a wood block, decimation master. You've got your silhouette instantly, right? This is the level. This is the next stage it'll take it to. But I know that you know all this anyway, because just stuff just in case you weren't aligned on where you need to go. So yeah, good stuff, man. Really looking forward to seeing this develop. Very good work. Yeah, go viz dev that roof. I'd really be interested to see you viz dev that half roof for a while. All right, so spoke about yours. Spoke about yours. Fucking V man, look at him posting 3 times. So greedy. Sebi, Eric, and I guess we're ending up on Victor. So, no worries, Eric. It's good stuff, man. You're on the right track. You know what you're doing, so it's all good. Looking forward to seeing it. This week I spent a lot of Blender using FSpy. Haven't put them into Unreal yet. I have yet to decide my 2 main shots, but I know the assets I make this week will probably be behind the camera and not 100% visible. Main goal was to make the environment walkable and have the Clostia finished from all sides, but I can see that for portfolio purposes might not be necessary. Aside from my main 2 shots, haven't locked down yet, would a shot from above showcasing the entire environment work as well? Could you go over L0, L1, L2 in more depth? I read the hybrid block outposts and secure the images and watch your perfect block video. It makes all sense. But just for the review clarity, as far as block out geometry goes. So a shot from above, I would not recommend, because a shot from above is like the anti-scope image, because suddenly you have to fill everything. You can't just have the building, then just stuff dead space around it. So I wouldn't recommend a shot from above unless you go such a high focal length that it frames in this completely. If anything, I'd try that shot at the end. I would not have it as my core two shots in the beginning. But for now, I'd say no. See how that top shot looks at a higher focal length at the end of the project. Hopefully, you're getting on well with F-Spy. This looks like a solid progress so far. So in terms of like, if you want, in terms of L0, L1, L2, I would go and look at. So we've had a few people go through that process with their projects, right? So a lot of the stuff I say when it comes to like L0, L1, L2, or the early phases of locking in a good camera, a lot of people have gone through in their project threads. So I think we could probably find a good L0 block out example, maybe from Leah's work. Um, oh, that's Goose. God, where's your thread, Leah? But I do plan to do something on L0, L1, L2 in the future. Leah, do you have any L0, L1, L2 presentation shots somewhere in your Miro? No worries if not. Yeah, we'll make it feel toy-like as well. That's the one thing to be wary of. So we look at Leah's as a rough example, right? So I would say, so an L0 is you're super at the beginning, right? You're not committed to locking anything in. You're trying out basic shapes without any detail and seeing what the overall composition looks like. So this, for example, is not an L0. This is more because this is a refined idea, right? The walls, I'd say, are L0, but in your case, I'll let Leah find that for me when she's ready. In your case, I would say you're at um, this to me because you've already committed to adding like the arches and the silhouette. So you wouldn't be if this was an L0, you would just be cubes, and you would be figuring out architecture roughly in terms of silhouette, and you wouldn't be 100% sure what the idea is. So you'd just be vibing. So that's L0. It's meant to be very quick and fail fast. Now, L1 is when you have your idea and you start to lock in your form. So at the moment, you're at about an L1 stage where you lock in sort of rougher forms of what your scene is going to be and you get the scale correct and you double check the scale. The right side of your scene is a bit more towards L1 and a half, and the left side of your scene here, where you don't have the windows, is more within like an L1. Now, as you start to push this to L2, you will have most of the silhouettes identified, most of the major forms, and you'll have color on it as well, and your two camera shots. So there's a big jump from L1 to L2, whereas from L0 to L1, it's much quicker to jump to. So that's what will define your L2 at this stage. So for you at the moment, you're around about an L1 ish in the grand scheme of things. I think in Leah's case, I don't know which shots because You can see it here, right? This is kind of like towards an L1, almost L2. But she probably won't have L0. I don't think so anyway, because it was so long ago. But I do plan to have some visual images of this. I also did make my potato medieval building that I will eventually come to at some point, right? That the purpose of that was to also document blockouts, right? But it's been so long since I've worked on it. But eventually this will serve that purpose as well, right? So in this case, right? Oh, have I deleted the no, I haven't deleted it. Yeah, so in this case, yeah, cool. So I would say that this here, right? The stuff I was working on a long time ago. This is it's already got color, but it still doesn't have the representative details for the block out to be considered an L2. So this is kind of like an L1 and a bit with color on, maybe approaching L1 and a quarter. For this to reach L2, it needs these windows in, which they're in Blender. It needs these bits in, not necessarily the little spikes on the top, but the main wood reed. It would need this in, which I think I have. It would need the beams in, rough. It would need the barrels in rough shape. It would basically need everything represented as basic as possible, except for the foliage. And then that would take it to an L2. And the point of an L2 is to be so solid and bulletproof that you can't really fail with cameras and composition, right? Now, if we go to, I have some good examples here, right? These are both, I would say, L2 in their own right. This is probably a really good example. Ignoring the trees, because nobody wants to block out trees, right? So it's fine. This is an L2. It's got all the shapes represented. It's got color separation. It's got basic lighting. It's got a good camera angle. This I consider L2, even though they've not done a color pass, it would make this look much better. But everyone's got their own blockout style. It's not like me saying L2 needs separate colors is only the only way to go. Everyone has their own style, but this is also L2. It's got all the beams in. It's representative, so it should look good, locked in, and almost ready to go at that stage. And then you spend 100+ hours making the materials. So that's what I would consider the L2 being compared to the L1 and L0. Let's go back to your posts. Yeah, also good, man. It's kind of good as well because the hardest part of the environments in that respect is the beginning. And once you do all the tiling textures and all the high prop modeling, you've locked in the big picture already. So it's actually kind of cool in a way because you can just lock the camera and never have to move it again. And then you just trust the process. Did you ask anything else? Let me just quickly check. Yeah, top down. Just wait till the end. Probably not. Get your two cameras locked in. And just focus on really getting L2 bulletproof because you will thank me in 200 hours or 100 hours afterwards in production. But nice progress, man. Good stuff. Is there anything else you're curious about? Does that bottom image look good compositionally to be one of my shots? Potentially. Potentially. Part of L1 to L2 is locking in your cameras, but you may require doing, and also having some good lighting. So it may require that you actually need to get your colors in and a bit of a basic lighting pass, because your scene is not too dissimilar from Leah's in that you have this tower and you have this lower architecture. And usually, when you light these types of pieces, the best way to light them really is to almost slice the scene with shadow. So if you're able to slice a lot of the scene with shadow and have half of it in light, it becomes much more dramatic. So for you, maybe the case is that you would have your directional light coming this way. So you hit this bit and then you start hitting this bit, but then this becomes shadow. So it leads into this bit. So I would try that first and then judge your cameras. It's one of those things that you do a bit of lighting, do a bit of block out. Are my cameras working? Okay, yes, no. Do a bit of camera, do some focal length work. Are my cameras working? Yes, no. That's the key. That's the things you explore during L1 to L2. But give it a try and keep bringing those shots back in the Discord or on the streams, and we'll definitely help you along with that. And that's the same feedback I gave Leah actually when she was finishing her scene. Same sort of thing. Slice the scene, hit it from a facade. You know, you can't go wrong with that type of stuff. You're very welcome. If a little bit of my feedback can help you get to the next stage, that's all good. All right, that's everyone. So yeah, we got our light prop blueprints in. We're going to look to add a line trace function so that we can hit a button and snap it to the wall. Other than that, this is almost ready to go. And I think once we finish this, and then eventually our level swap lighter, we will just return to artistic stuff. Maybe we'll do a bit on the medieval house to make some documentation for L012. And yeah, we're progressing, which is nice. As usual, check out the Patreon if you're not on it. If not, you're always welcome to come onto the streams and talk in the public community as well. But yes, I'm going to depart. I think we're just about on time, and it's a good ending point, I'd say. Any final questions for the last 2-3 minutes as I start to wrap up shop? GGE, GGT, DDT. That's a good wrestling move, you know. Yeah. That's unfortunate. Right. Awesome. Cheers, guys. Good stream. Good seeing you all. I'll see you guys on Discord. I'm going to hop on the voice for a little bit if anyone wants to join while I decide on food. And yeah, I'll see you guys. I will see you guys around on the stream. Peace.